go. It's always funny seeing how people react to snow in Atlanta. This weekend we got 0.8 inches of snow and it snowed for like 2 hours, but best believe people were out in the park sledding. The city was super busy. It was actually a lot of fun. That's what that intro clip was. It was kind of like a mini behind the scenes of our rare snow day. Wish it would have snowed longer so I could have done a full video, got out at night, but definitely happy with how those images came together. Yo, check this out. I eventually am gonna do a product photography video with this insane Lego set. I just gotta find the time to actually do it. But this is the camera that I use to make the snow photos, Leica SL2 with the Leica 35 f2. But that is not the lens that we are using today. Today we have something very special to try out. It is this crazy looking lens right here. Look at how small this thing is. It is the TTArtisan 28 5.6 millimeter lens. Now this lens only costs $300, and on the SL2, look at how small this thing is. Like, it changes the form factor of this camera so dramatically, and I am very curious to see how it performs. So what I did is I took this thing out yesterday, did about an hour of street photography. I'm gonna show you the behind the scenes for it, give you some of my thoughts when I'm out in the field. Everything in today's video was edited using my preset module. All the photos you're gonna see, the good ones, and unfortunately the bad ones. Y'all know how I do these behind the scenes. I don't hide anything. All of them use my classic tone curve that I use on all my images, and then I used a variety of the basic adjustments and a variety of the color grades as well to get the effects. At the end of the video, I'll do a bigger breakdown where I show you the exact formulas for my favorite photos. But let's stop wasting time with an intro. Y'all know the vibes when I'm out doing street photography. It typically takes me a minute to warm up, and today's video is no different. The first couple photos, they're a little rough. Alright, so we have some insane light this morning. Check this out behind me. Look at how dynamic this is. The sun coming through between the buildings, creating a bunch of different shadows. These are ideal conditions to test a lens because you don't really have to worry about the shutter speed. You can keep your aperture high to ensure a nice sharp image. This is gonna be fun. So y'all have heard me talk about this before. My favorite types of cameras are ones that can fit into hoodie pockets, and this lens makes that possible with a camera like the Leica SL2. Honestly, any camera that you can attach this lens to, it is going to dramatically change the form factor and make it into something that's a lot more convenient and more of a pocket style feeling camera. Obviously, I can't fit this in my back pocket or anything, but it is nice being able to keep my hands warm and keep the camera hidden when I don't want it out. Alright, little fun fact for y'all. This building right here, it used to just be half this building. They added on to it since I graduated. This is where I went to college. at Georgia State University. This is actually the science building where I did a lot of my classes. Good and bad memories here because right before I graduated, I got a C- in, what class was that? Neuromuscular physiology. Great class, super interesting, but I got a C-, had to repeat it in summer school to graduate, but it all worked out in the end. But one interesting thing about this lens that I really like is the fact that you can lock into infinity focus, meaning when it's locked, I can put it in my pocket, I can move it around, I don't have to worry about my focus moving, and it makes this camera almost like a point and shoot, which is a very ridiculous feeling to have with something as powerful as the Leica SL2. That being said, obviously if something is very close to your camera, you're not going to focus on it, but that doesn't feel like a very big deal. Yo, what a surprising day. That is 1 hour, we're done. The lighting today was crazy. I made so many more photos than I was expecting. This went well. It's feeling like the good old days right now, which means we gotta go somewhere. You know the vibes, the great and powerful chrome yellow coffee shop. It has been a hot minute since we came here in a YouTube video. Still the best coffee in Atlanta, hands down. Also, you know I can't leave any coffee shop without a sweet treat. Look at that donut. All right, y'all. So I'm not gonna lie, I went into this with pretty low expectations. I mean, a camera lens that is the size of a quarter, you can't expect much from, right? Well, I was definitely surprised, one, by the sharpness of these images. If you look through the examples today, for a lens this small, I was not expecting such sharp images. Now, here's the thing with a lens like this, okay? It's essentially designed for exactly what we used it for in today's video. It's designed as a walk-around lens to be used in well-lit situations like daylight or a bright room or something like that. This is definitely not designed for low light, and I think a problem that happens a lot of times on YouTube is the fact that people love to put gear in situations that it's not designed for and then complain about it. So if you're someone who picks this up and uses it in low light, it is your own damn fault. The whole reason that it only goes to an aperture of 5.6 is so that it can have this small form factor and become something that's convenient for you. Now, I talked about most of the positives that I felt about this lens when I was actually out using it. Obviously the form factor, obviously the point and shoot type element, but the fact that the focus on this requires you to press down this button when you are in a situation where you might need to focus, it's a little bit of a nuisance. It's not a big deal. It's just one of these things that you're gonna have to get used to. And also I did notice some vignetting on certain photos, which I didn't really like. And I also noticed that in certain situations when the sun was directly into the lens, there's not a lot going on in here in the ways of like a spherical elements or a lot of glass to really cut down on that glare. So those images, they had some problems. They were pretty much washed out by glare. Not really a big deal. I mean, I think it's what you would expect from a lens like this. It's so small, there's obviously not gonna be a lot of glass in here, and I gotta say, for $300, this does more than I expected it to do. Shout out to TTArtisan for this. This thing is really awesome and definitely something that I recommend you rent and check out if you're interested, probably before you buy. I never wanna encourage anyone to buy anything without trying it first, but let's talk about my favorite image on the day. My favorite photo on the day wasn't my greatest day of photography, but my favorite image is this one right here. Now, the reason I love this image so much is because it has layers. I've talked about layers a million times on this YouTube channel. We have one layer of lead lines leading us into our subjects, and we have two subjects moving through the street. We have one closer to the camera, one farther away on the wall, creating like a silhouette, and we also have two backdrops as well. We have the building as a backdrop, and then we have that hit of blue sky sky in the top corner, which creates yet another layer. So we have 5 layers on this. So let me give you the editing breakdown. If you have the preset module from evanranft.com, you can follow along. Tone curve is my classic tone curve number 2. I use this tone curve 1 or 2 on all my images. That's always the starting point. Then basic adjustments 3, color boost 1, color grade 3, vignette, soften 2, white balance 3. And then from there, I took the image into Photoshop and I applied a LUT that I got in 2013. It's called KDX. You can probably find this thing for free at this point online. I applied that, dropped the opacity way down to like 11, nothing major. Then I went in with color balance. Color balance is something I do on every single one of my photos as a way to color correct. It's a kind of a tedious step, but it's something that helps me really get the exact look I want in my image. This isn't something I can teach you, it's just something that's intuitive. I did the color balance, then I dropped in a hue and saturation layer as well and brought up the blues on that top left corner. I just really wanted those to pop and fill out the image. I also did a content aware fill over the sign and removed that sign. That's a really easy edit. Saved it, brought it back into Lightroom, added a graduated filter on the bottom of the image, and I dropped the shadows there. This kind of draws your attention more towards the center of the image, which is what we want. And then to make this effect more dramatic and draw your eye into the center of the scene, I added a radio filter, I inverted it, and I brought the general brightness up on that. So that is the editing breakdown on that photo right there. I'm gonna go ahead and rank that one out of 5, a 2.65 out of 5. Not my greatest, not my worst. It's something that I think would look good in a set of photos eventually, so I'm happy with it, happy with all the images in today's video, and you can check them out on my social media once I add my final tweaks to them. So let me know your thoughts on the photos and on this lens in the comments. Do you have it? Is it something you're interested in? Do you think it's too gimmicky?